I was on my way home back to Colorado from a trip to Europe, and I'm still 1 year out of university, and I saw an ad in the New York Times that said, "Need person with design experience willing to travel." Well, okay, that could be me. And I interviewed for the job and got it immediately. And why? Because I walked in and there were racks full of beautiful textiles that I had never seen before. And I knew what batik was. I mean, textiles are my concentration, but I'd never seen anything quite like this. And this was a woman who had bought them to do fashion. And I said, well, they're quite beautiful no matter what you do, but I could sell them for interior design. And she said, oh, really? Do you know the interior design market? I said, oh, absolutely. And she said, well, how would you market them? And I said, well, we would, you know, all we have to do is go to the designers. They're easily accessible, and they're always looking for something new. We'll just have to create some samples. And she said, well, let's see if you can get some appointments. So, by the way, I'm from Colorado. I don't know anything about New York City. I go downstairs, I get Architectural Digest, and I look through the designers and then find out who's based in New York City, and I called them. I said, hello, my name's Twila Wilson, and I'm working for a very exciting textile company. We're importing batiks from Indonesia. I'd love to show them to. I got 5 appointments. That easy. Okay, and that's where we talk about one of the secrets to success is no fear. I had no idea. I had no fear. So I go right back up the elevator and say, okay, now we need swatches, and we cut swatches, and we were off and running. It was actually that easy. The woman that I worked for was a photojournalist, so she had, I believe her contact there was the Newsweek stringer. So I was met there, and that is super helpful. It is just great to have someone who gets you in the right, you know, just I knew what towns to go to because that owner had been there because she wanted to do fashion that didn't work out. So I got sent in, I got put on a train, a 4-hour train, and no, I did not speak Indonesian. Silly me. But most of the manufacturers there were quite sophisticated, and I did speak some. But the language of art is universal. There is no question that once you get this in your hand, and then it was all about this flower is remarkable, and look at the detail in that. I need to change the color, I need to change the size, I need to introduce, you start designing. And that it is, I mean, any artist knows that. Once you all get on that same conversation, language becomes less and less important. And it's not a bad story that really, I mean, Indonesian batik is world famous. I could do nothing to it and it would be beautiful. But I was turning it specifically for interior design for the American market, so we definitely changed up coloring, sizing. And when I came back with those samples, it was, you know, thank goodness, a huge hit. I came to StCroix because I wanted to move to Barbados. Isn't that funny? I had vacationed there when I was living in New York. But Barbados at the time, you had to invest $400 and some thousand to move there. That wasn't going to happen. And honestly, it was the only place in the Caribbean I'd ever been. And I met and made friends with people who were school teachers in StCroix. And I'd taken the job in England, had come back, and they said, here's what you really need to do. You really come on down and see where we live. And guess what? StCroix is, sorry Barbados, much nicer. I knew I was in the right place really from my first day. It's everything and more that I had ever thought I was going to be able to live in. I mean, incredibly nice, fun people, honest, generous. The weather is unspeakably beautiful. I mean, a bad day here, which is a hurricane, I'd still rather suffer that every couple of years than be in, sorry, New Jersey. No, I love StCroix. It's the land of opportunity, truly. For, for not everybody, I understand that. It worked for me, and I can see that StCroix is open, and you have a clientele that is more worldly in so many ways, that are not strip mall mentality, which is a little mean. But no, you're around people who are much more broad-minded, and that's where I want to be. When I brought the sarongs, which all batik from Indonesia starts in 2-yard or 2.5-yard pieces, because that's what they wear. They wear them as sarongs, and men and women. And so I was buying sarongs, designing sarongs, and then turning them into using in New York for interiors. When I got down here, I was wearing them, and that was like an immediate hit. You know, yes, they had heard of pareos, they know what that is, but never such beautiful textiles. I mean, they really are gorgeous. And I wore them, and I right away had just tremendous response. So I took my money and went right back to Indonesia and got a lot more, and then right away they said, well, we'd like men's shirts, and I'd love a bikini out of this, and I'd like a cute little top. And so, you know, thanks to my mother who made me take home ec, I knew how to sew. So I would go back and sew men's shirts and bikinis, and then it was clear that it was, oh, what am I, crazy? I need to go back to Indonesia, let me organize this. And so that I did not learn in school. That's another not easy thing to do, is to manufacture clothing. But we did it slowly. We kept building and building and building. I went from a very small, darling little shop to a great big shop. And hire more people, and it became so exciting what happened. It turned into a wonderful, wonderful business. We sold all over the Caribbean for several years, and then we started selling in the United States for their summer season. So yeah, it was a great business. For the last 2 years of JavaWraps, we opened a home store. That was a passion, absolute passion of mine, and it was very successful. And from that market, we did get, you know, requests all the time to do interiors, and I just didn't have the time. I was running a huge clothing business. So when we closed JavaWraps, my home was made the cover of Architectural Digest, and that was quite an opening, because I then immediately got calls. Okay, we just bought a home here, or we're remodeling my family home here. Can you help us? And so literally 1 month after we were in Architectural Digest, I had 2 wonderful new clients who said, we need you, and we need you now. And again, you have to, that's where the no fear comes in. That's a very different market. I was certainly well trained in it, but the actual business part of it is another issue altogether. So I brought on the person who's currently my business partner, Kobe Nichols, who is just out of college, and who has a strong business mind and business detail. She's wonderful. So we started, and that is 20 years later. Very exciting. Okay. I am very fortunate to be able to work with a lot of the historic buildings here in StCroix, and there are many. And I mean, we are not in Kansas anymore down here. This is spectacular ruins that people want to keep the ruins. There are ruins that people want to bring back to homes. There's something so special that you don't have to do anything artificial when you're working in these buildings. When you're working in a condo, sometimes you have to give some texture to a wall. You have to add very different, levels of color and texture. When you're working in an old building, it's all there, and your job is to stand back and let it really show. I love working with the old buildings. Well, if you want to go back to what I said in the beginning, is that one of the reasons that I've gotten this far is because I am not afraid. And when I say that Kobe and I here every week we want JavaWraps back. We want these sarongs. So we do beautiful pillowcases. We do beautiful sarongs. It's not enough. They want more. We have a market here that we are going to have to just address, and we do it with glee. So our intention, no fear, we're going to do it again. In what iteration will to be determined, but we are starting right now. COVID has not been helpful. Indonesia was hit very hard. So to really get it going the way we want to, we'll have to go and spend a couple of months there. Looking forward to that. But yes, that is our intention. We still do have sarongs, some very pretty textiles that we always have it from Java. So that you can still do, but yes, we're headed that way. I get asked a lot. People have, daughters, nieces, friends, who are interested in the interior design business, and or other businesses. And I will say that there is something to, and it worked for me, is that I did take jobs that I did not make a lot of money, but I took the job because it included travel. It included an introduction to people I would have no way of ever meeting anywhere else. And I lived in New York City on not much money in an apartment with 3 other people jammed in it, and yet I was being sent all over the world doing, and the clients I worked with during the day were some of the wealthiest people in the world. And the most I ever got out of it was, titles, but I got travel and I got experience. And I'll be honest with you, I knew it. I knew it was my job to learn everything I could and to meet as many people as I can. I also learned when I moved to StCroix, it's not just enough that you have something, a skill and a talent. You got to show up in the community. You got to join the clubs. You have to put in your time. And no, it's no fun taking a job where you're making no money, but if you're very blessed, be willing to travel. That's key to me. You just might be able to break through.